life. But one of the things in his life was when he was young, he wasn't really Irish. He was Scottish. And he was kidnapped by pirates. And there you go. Back in the corner there. And he was kidnapped by pirates, and he was taken to Ireland and sold into slavery. And he was a slave in Ireland for a number of years, and he finally escaped. And when he escaped, he got out of there, but he went back to Ireland to minister to them after that, where he'd been held as a slave. And he planted approximately 200 churches in Ireland. And he converted and baptized over 100,000 individuals in his lifetime in Ireland. So that's what he's remembered the most for. But he said something one day. And he said this about Jesus. And I have to read it because it's long and I want to get it right. But he said, Christ with me, Christ before me, Christ behind me, Christ in me, Christ beneath me, Christ above me, Christ on my right, Christ on my left, Christ when I lie down, Christ when I sit up, Christ when I arise, Christ in the heart of every man who thinks of me, Christ in the mouth of everyone who speaks of me, Christ in every eye that sees me, Christ in every ear that hears me. And I want you, for communion today, I want you to think about, because he basically said Christ in everything, and when people see me, hear me, or think of me, they think of Christ. And so what I want you to think about today is, are you living that kind of a walk where when people think of you, everything that comes out of your mouth is Christ? And it is our duty as Christians. That's what we should be trying to do. And we should be trying to have Christ in us at all times and for everyone to see Christ. And that is how and that actually ties in with a little bit with what the communion was that I wanted to talk about today. But when I read this, I said this, and I didn't even think of this then. But one of the things that hit me in the last couple of weeks, someone died that I had a great respect for, and it was Charles Krauthammer. And Charles was, he was injured when he was studying to be a doctor. He dove into a swimming pool with his friends. They were diving off the diving board, and his head hit the bottom of the pool, and it severed his spinal column. And in the interview that I saw, he made the comment that he knew, because of his studies, he knew instantly what had just happened. He knew instantly. And he also knew he was never going to ever walk again. And here he is, a young man in his early 20s. And he studied to be a doctor. For a while he was a doctor, and then he became a political commentator and a columnist where he would write columns. And I'm not saying that I always agreed with everything he said, but I am saying this, that I am amazed that that man could do what he did. And his rule was, when he was writing a column, he would sit down and write it, and he'd walk away from it for a day or two, and he would come back then, and he would rip it to shreds. He would tear it apart. He would say, this doesn't sound quite right. Am I sure that this is a fact? I have to look up the facts. And he would rip it apart for the whole week until it was due. And he would make sure that everything that he put into that was correct and to the best of his ability and his knowledge, that it was done the right way. Everything was grammatically correct. Everything was right. And he was so obsessed. But it got me thinking. I'm a very positive person, but I get down once in a while. And I was kind of down when he passed away, because all I could think of was, we've lost him. We've lost his great mind. And you think about it. Just in presidents alone, go backwards in time. Whether you like the president or hated the president, it doesn't matter. Every single one going back, think of it, going backwards in time, right to the first one, George Washington. Every one of them had major influences on our country. Think about family members that you've lost over the years, how powerful they were in people's lives around them, in your life. And we don't get to see them again. Isn't that awful, what the world has lost? But I thought of something magnificent. If we're doing our jobs as Christians and we're reaching out and converting people, guess what? You're going to see them all again, every last one of them. And that should be our job. So I just combined two communion meditations into one. And I tried, I wasn't planning on dragging long, folks, but I want to really think about that God should be seen in us at all times, in everything. And people, when they think of you and me, should be thinking, that's Christ. That's Christ. I want Christ. And then we should be spreading that word so that we get to see all those people down the road. And we might miss them for a little while, but we will get to see them. Right. Yes. And in reality, it is our job as Christians. And we need to be reaching out and we need to have Christ seen. So join me in prayer. Lord, you are just so mighty. You are just so great, so loving and so forgiving. You are so loving and forgiving that you sent your Son to die on the cross for us so that we could have eternal life. Lord, help us to have you in us at all times. Help us to show the love of Christ all around us as we go through life, as we go through every day of our lives. And Lord, help us to stand for you and to not be afraid to reach out to those around us, because there's so many we want to see again, and we're not going to if we don't do that. Lord, bless all these folks that are here this morning. Bless our church. Bless the school that's here at the church. Bless our neighborhood and bless our nation as a whole, Lord. Put your hand on our leaders in all levels of government and help them to walk to your feet and help them to take your advice. And Lord, touch their hearts and souls and help them to lead our country down the right path so that we just keep going on and on. Lord, thank you again for your love and forgiveness. All the blessings you pour out on us every single day. We ask everything in Jesus' name. Folks, come forward. Take communion.